Deep in the heart of a jungle that time forgot, shrouded in mist and mystery, stands a temple so ancient its name has crumbled into dust. Carved into the very mountainside, it was a place of immense power, a sanctuary for a civilization now lost to history. And guarding this sacred place was a colossus, a sentinel of stone and magic, known only as the Watcher. For 1,000 years, the Watcher stood immobile, its eyes, two magnificent sapphires, each the size of a man's head, gazing out over the valley. They weren't just jewels, they were its heart, its consciousness, the source of its vigilance. They held the memories of the temple, the whispers of ancient rituals, and the sacred duty to protect what lay within. But power, as we know, is a magnet for greed. Centuries ago, under the cloak of a moonless night, a band of thieves, driven by legends of untold riches, braved the treacherous jungle. They were not warriors, but men with avarice in their hearts. They climbed the great statue, their tools chipping away at the stone sockets that held the sapphires. The Watcher, bound by its ancient command to remain still, could only observe as its sight, its very soul, was pried from its face. The thieves escaped, leaving the guardian blind and broken. The jungle fell silent, as if mourning the desecration. For ages, the stone giant remained a hollow shell, a monument to a forgotten promise. The rains washed over its empty sockets, and vines crept up its colossal limbs. The world moved on. The temple faded further into legend, and the Watcher was just a story whispered by old men to frighten children. But the magic that animated it, the sacred duty etched into its core, did not die. It festered. It changed. The loss of its eyes twisted its purpose. The Guardian's directive was simple: to watch, and without eyes, it could not fulfill its duty. A new, desperate directive was born from its magical essence: find new eyes. So, one night, when the moon cast long, eerie shadows across the land, a tremor shook the earth. A deep groan, like the grinding of continents, echoed through the valley. The Watcher moved. Its first steps in 1,000 years cracked the very ground it stood on. The vines that had bound it snapped like threads. It was slow, ponderous, a mountain given life. And it was blind. It stumbled through the jungle, its massive stone hands feeling its way, its head swiveling back and forth, listening, sensing. Its purpose was no longer to protect the temple, but to restore its own sight. The local villagers, descendants of those who once worshipped at the temple, had always known the stories. They were cautionary tales, myths to keep people away from the dangerous ruins. They never believed them to be true, not until the tremors started. Not until trees on the edge of the village were found snapped like twigs, and giant, three-toed footprints were pressed deep into the mud. Fear, cold and primal, gripped the community. The legend had a terrifying addendum, one that the thieves who stole the sapphires never lived to tell. The Watcher, in its relentless search, did not seek jewels. It sought the light of life itself. It sought the gleam of consciousness, the spark of a soul that it could see in the eyes of the living. A young hunter named Kale was the first to see it. He was tracking a deer at dusk when he heard the crushing footsteps. Hiding behind an ancient banyan tree, he watched in horrified awe as the colossal stone figure emerged from the thicket. It moved with an unnatural grace for its size, its head turning, its empty sockets seeming to stare right through him. He saw it reach down, its enormous hand closing around a panicked jaguar. When the hand opened, the jaguar fell limp, its once vibrant eyes now dull, milky white orbs. The Watcher paused, as if testing its new sight, before a low rumble of dissatisfaction emanated from its stone chest, and it continued its search. The village elder, a woman named Lyra, whose eyes held the wisdom of generations, knew what was happening. She gathered the villagers in the central longhouse. "The Watcher is awake," she announced, her voice trembling but firm. "Its sight was stolen, and now it seeks to replace it with the light from ours. It does not hate us. It is broken. Its programming is corrupted, but its desperation makes it a monster. Panic erupted. The villagers wanted to flee, to abandon their homes. But Lyra knew the Watcher was bound to the valley. There was no escape. "We cannot run," she declared. "We must face it. We must either appease it or stop it." Kale, brave and resourceful, stepped forward. "How can we fight a mountain?" he asked, the question on everyone's lips. Lyra looked at him, her gaze penetrating. "We don't fight its body. We must address its purpose. It wants to see. Perhaps we can give it sight." She revealed an ancient scroll, passed down through her lineage. It was a schematic, not of the temple, but of the Watcher itself. It showed intricate channels of magic running through its stone body, all converging at its empty eye sockets. The plan was desperate, almost suicidal. They couldn't find the original sapphire eyes, which were long lost to the world. Instead, Lyra proposed a ritual. They would create new eyes, not of stone, but of pure, concentrated energy. Using a rare, phosphorescent crystal found only in the deepest caves behind the temple, they would channel a powerful incantation, creating orbs of light bright enough to satisfy the Guardian's need to see. The risks were immense. The ritual required 3 channelers to stand before the Watcher, defenseless, and pour their own life force into the crystals. If their concentration wavered for even a second, the energy would consume them. And that was assuming they could even get close enough to the rampaging Colossus without being captured. Kale agreed to lead a team to distract the Guardian while Lyra and 2 other elders prepared the ritual. As night fell, the ground began to shake again. The Watcher was approaching the village. Its massive silhouette blotted out the stars. Its footsteps were the sound of doom. Kyle and his hunters initiated their plan. They lit massive bonfires, hurled flaming projectiles, and used loud horns to draw the Watcher's attention away from the village square, where Lyra and the elders stood, their faces illuminated by the eerie glow of the crystals they held. The Watcher, confused by the multiple points of light and sound, turned towards the chaos, its giant hands sweeping through the forest, searching for the sources. Meanwhile, Lyra began the chant. The ancient words flowed from her lips, the language of the temple builders. The crystals in her hands and in the hands of the other 2 elders began to pulse with a brilliant blue-white light. The light grew brighter and brighter, so intense it was painful to look at. The air crackled with power. The Watcher sensed the immense energy source. It abandoned the hunters and turned its massive body towards the village square. Its footsteps quickened, the ground cracking under its immense weight. Kyle and his team watched in terror as the Colossus bore down on their elders. Just as the Watcher's shadow fell over them, Lyra gave the final command. With a unified cry, the 3 elders thrust the glowing crystals forward. 2 streams of pure light shot from their hands, straight and true, into the empty sockets of the giant. There was a blinding flash, and a sound that was not a sound, but a feeling. A pressure that vibrated in everyone's bones. The Watcher froze, its hand just inches from grabbing Lyra. The light in its sockets swirled, coalesced, and then stabilized into 2 brilliant, unwavering orbs of pure energy. The giant stood motionless for a full minute. Silence descended upon the valley once more. Then, slowly, the Watcher lowered its hand. It raised its head, not to search, but to observe. It looked at the moon, at the stars, at the trembling villagers below. There was no anger, no malice. The frantic desperation was gone. Its new eyes held a calm, ancient wisdom. The Watcher turned its body, not with the destructive force of before, but with a deliberate, solemn grace. It took 1 step, then another, walking away from the village and back towards its forgotten temple. Its duty was restored. It could see again. It could watch again. The Colossus returned to its perch, settling into the mountainside from which it was carved. The light in its eyes softened to a gentle blue glow, a new beacon of protection over the valley. The Watcher was whole again. its purpose renewed not by stolen life, but by a gift of courage and sacrifice. The villagers, safe once more, understood that the line between a monster and a guardian, between a curse and a blessing, is sometimes as simple as the light one chooses to see by. Thank you so much for watching this story unfold. If you enjoyed this journey into the forgotten world of the Watcher, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the edge of myth and history. Let us know in the comments what you think the Watcher sees now with its new eyes. Until next time, stay curious.